The 21-day challenge is for entrepreneurs and high achievers, people who are absolutely out to make a bigger impact in the world, but you might feel stuck or stopped or standing in your own way, spinning your tires, just not tapped into your greatness and your potential. That's exactly what the 21-day challenge is for, to reignite you, your self-belief, your passion, so you succeed like never before. So if you want to find out more, send me a message or contact me on email, chris@beergps.com. Thanks so much in advance for doing that. Looking forward to talking to you and helping you break through. Well, let's talk about the iTunes review of the week now, and it is by Hannah 1125. Hannah says, Chris shows up with such authentic interest in the guest and the audience. Every single show has a golden nugget that I can start implementing in my life right away. It feels like Chris really believes we can all become our greatest self and consistently shows us how. If this isn't in your ear, you are missing out on loads of inspiration, action, and your own greatness. Thank you so much, Hannah. If you want to give us a review, you're listening to this right now, you're loving the message, loving the people that we're interviewing, and especially the interview that we're about to do with Paul, go to beergps.com/iTunes, and you can give us a review there, or search Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self on the iTunes store or on Facebook. Thanks so much in advance for doing that. Before this human being comes on, I just want to say he is one of the most influential people in my life, contributing so much wisdom, clarity, empowerment, and growth to me to become my greatest possible self. We talk every single week and more, and it's just like having him in my life has been such a big uplifting energy. Just receiving his wisdom, his experience, working with Fortune 500 brands, marketing and branding, and just doing so many amazing things. So make sure you stay tuned all the way through to the end, because I vouch for this guy, Paul MacFarlane, amazing human being. You definitely want to stay tuned throughout all this gold and receive it. Grab a pen, grab paper, be ready to take notes, because it's going to be the gold that you've been ready for. So let's introduce him and then bring him on the show. Paul MacFarlane, president, founder, and professional human being of the 1101 Experiment. Paul is a business and brand strategist with global Fortune 500 experience. He's a writer, designer, producer, director, public speaker and trainer, motivational, inspirational expert, screenplay writer, musician, and more. But it all comes from one place: Paul's desire to bring universal love, oneness, and success to businesses and individuals, to do good and help people realize their greatest potential. Love, peace, and understanding in everything Paul MacFarlane does. But business and brand strategist will do for today. Paul, you ready to rock this?
I was born to rock this.
He was born to rock this. Absolutely, you are. You were. Thank you.
Born to rock this. That's not how the song goes, but I'll take it.
I love it, man. Well, thank you for being here today to share your wisdom and your experience and joy and love for life with us and our audience. And we're going to have a lot of fun. You've been on the show multiple times, and you always bring the joy. You bring the wisdom, and you bring the fun, like the joy and the fun. You know, it's so much fun with you. Deep
And why do I keep coming back?
What was that?
Why do I keep coming back?
Why do you keep coming back? Because you have fun as well, and I'm a lot of fun.
You're a lot of fun. You're a great interviewer, and there's something that happens when we're together, and any two are gathered in my name. A third energy is there that is just always so freaking awesome.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, man. Absolutely. So, Paul, we're going to dive right into the theme of the day, which is integrity and your word. So how does that show up for you in your life, brother?
Increasingly. Here's the thing. I thought about this. I thought I should put on a mask and come on and see if that would confuse you. But think, what is a mask? What is a mask? What does it mean to be phony? You know, there are people probably who are watching this now live, who may watch it later, who are just out there in the ether, who feel they have to pretend to be something they're really not to make money. You know the definition, or what it means to do something you would never ordinarily do, except for you get paid to do it. Yeah, begins with a P, and it's not professional. And the thing is,
Purpose.
a prostitute, except for the ones with, the heart of gold, whatever, potentially pretends to be something they're not to do their work. Not all, I'm sure not all, but you get the idea. And when you go to a JOB or you work with CUSTOMER or CLIENT, it's very easy to forget who you really are and be something you think you're supposed to be that is not of your essence. I think that's a pretty universal thing. And once you notice that, it's like, oh, crap. Yeah, you're right. But can I really be me? For some people, as you know, Chris, the people you work with, right? How you motivate them at some point in the beginning, or you're getting people to realize who they are is perfect, and it just needs to be expressed and let loose, right?
Yeah. Beautiful. So I heard mask there. People have, masks that they wear to try to show up as something, to try to belong, because they feel like they're flawed and who they are isn't perfect. And what we're asserting is that they are perfect. They are whole, complete, and perfect, and it's in integrity to be who you already are and just tap into that.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. But there's other layers to this, of course. There are people in certain positions and places in this world where they believe, oh, I couldn't say that at work. I couldn't say what I really think to this client, to this customer. Or sometimes I really couldn't say that to my neighbor or to my mother or my spouse or whatever. We put our truth away at some point. Right. We all do. If we really notice when we do that, we have things we're thinking we don't say. And some of us have that beautiful filter that keeps us from saying certain things. And some people you may meet have no filter, and they just say whatever all the time. And they're fascinating people to watch. So I think realizing that if you know who you are, you really, really know who you are, you accept who you are, and you love who you are, that's probably the biggest step. And then you have to know, what does that mean in the marketplace? The marketplace can mean at a job. It can be with your own business. But even a relationship to most people is a marketplace. A giving and receiving, an asking and a giving and a getting, right? That's a whole other subject, why most love is, I call pseudo love, because it's not really love, it's business. So anytime you don't have that foundational knowing yourself and loving yourself, which, you can hit a plateau and someone like Chris can inspire you to go into that, but it's an ongoing, never-ending journey. There is no finish line to that. I can tell you. And then you've got the situation of knowing when you're in particular situations where you cannot tell the absolute truth because of you're told what you can and can't say. You're afraid of what people might think of you. See? Knowing and loving yourself is one thing, and then not giving a flying what other people think is the other.
Yeah, that's powerful. So it's like,
if I had a pipe, right now, if I was telling a joke, when I take a hit on the pipe, you should be laughing, right? So if I go for the mug, that's your cue to take the topic somewhere else if you want.
Is that the subconscious message you wanted me to get?
Well, just for right now, since I've got this cup, if I'm taking a hit on the cup, that means you can probe deeper or switch it as you want. I'm finished for the moment.
I love it, man. I know I love this because it's the aspect of knowing who you are is first you become aware, then you have the choice. And that's what I really believe this journey through life is all about, is the choice to show up in alignment and integrity with who we know ourselves to be, our highest self, our purpose, or out of alignment with that, and trying to please other people, trying to fit in, trying to, just get by, whatever that is. And that's a constant process and a constant choice from now till forever. Probably in the beginning, it's way more difficult to do it because it's it's, not as, you're not as ingrained. Like for me, I'm still at this really deepening phase of my roots of who I am. And so it's more of a muscle that I have to effort a lot to flex. And as time goes on, 10, 20 years, I'm way more grounded in who I am. And it's easier to say, yeah, that's not who I am. Yep, that's totally me. Let's go, and that becomes clear. It's a muscle that becomes developed over time as well.
Well, like, as we know, David in our mastermind group, what an amazing kind of like pop growth he's had in doing his own work. And he's much more at ease and comfortable and expressive and feels freer to be, right? Yeah. Everyone has that. Oh, can I tell you about my call this morning, which this is kind of maybe relates to this. Yes. There's something in this world, the marketplace, that I want. I really, really, really want it. And I've been pursuing something for about 5 years now. And I'm currently cultivating a relationship. And what that means is, well, if I was not full of integrity, that would mean I would say anything to make someone comfortable enough to try and do some business. Yeah. Ooh. Well, if you believe people are sensitive, I don't recommend doing that, because a really good person will suss that out and you'll be lost. No, what I mean by cultivating the relationship, I found out in the first call with a certain person who is a particularly high up in some regard in the continent called Europe. And we had a call from, I'll say this, Belgium this morning early. And this cultivation of the relationship is by being exactly myself and letting him see and feel who I am, and increasingly he doing the same. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't on this call, it was another call where he remarked about this background you see behind me. And I told people in a very practical sense, if I just suddenly checked out of this existence, and if for some egoic reason I thought people would want to know who was this guy instead of my life, like everyone is. Mm-hmm. If someone really wanted to know who I was, if you just spent a day at random pulling these books out, you'd get a pretty good idea. Mm-hmm. Well, and that's on full display. I have no problem letting people know that I'm obsessive about spirituality, Led Zeppelin, Manchester United, and marketing, not necessarily in that order. Mm-hmm. But he appreciates this. Like, for instance, today on the call, this is what I do. I send this guy when we talk, and this is our fourth call. I send topics we can potentially talk about. And every time I do that, he says, great topics. Because he told me in the very first call, good perceptive guy he is, that I was the sort of person he'd love to have a beer with. And that really touched me, because I'm currently seeking mature, high-end male partnerships, friendships, and, so that's a good thing. Yeah. But today we were talking, and I asked him to share, New Year's and Christmas stories. And he told me some beautiful, intimate things about his family. He asked me probing questions about intimate things about my life. He was comfortable. He sensed I was wide open, and I'm who I am. Yeah. And by being who I am in a very calm, relaxed, friendly, open way, it invited him in. He asked things. And then on his own, because I had it listed as a potential topic, before we got to topic 2 or 3, he took the topic I really, really want, and he asked me, wanted to hear about it. And it was like, oh yes, I will. So to bring this to the point, there's a title that I use frequently, which is I am a professional human being. Yeah. A professional human being. And what that means is that there are cultures, indigenous cultures around this planet, who believe that to be a true human being, a full human being, is the highest standard in that culture, or that tribe you can achieve, to be realized as a full human being, as opposed to a tree, a river, or a jungle cat. And to be a professional human being is something I decided on several years ago, to hold up for myself that same high standard, to be a fully realized human being in my life and in my work. See, the same way. So
personal and professional.
Exactly. Yeah. As if for me, they're no different, because I'm always thinking about my work. I'm a business and a brand strategist. I'm always getting insights and ideas. In fact, all I need is just some kind of thing to plug into my brain that sends the ideas to who needs to get them. And then it takes the millions of dollars and puts it back in my brain into my account. And I can just think and things will happen. That'd be great. Yeah. And then I have more time to go to the beach. Right. But, that professional human being thing has been a resounding and ongoing inspiration to say, can I be exactly who I am and do business? Can I do business and go from work to not work, social to business, without any perceptible change of vibration? Now, what's common about both those things is that I have these bold bits of type that are taped to the top of these big monitors that would say things like, be fully present, don't interrupt. That's good for business calls. It's really good for relationships, personal too. So, same.
Yeah.
Integrity, no mask, open, inviting.
Wow.
I just love when you're sitting there and you have that little bing up the top of your head.
It's
Look
my,
online.
It's my antenna.
Yeah, but look online for the old comic. It was called Herman.
Is it the Martian? Herman Martian? No?
This kind of egg-headed little boy had no hair, but this little bing on the top, just like that. When I see that, it reminds me of it. It's fun.
Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
You're all, hey, in case no one knows, we're all kind of like man crushes on each other. Just I'm sure, but no, you're a very handsome devil of a guy, and that is just kind of cute because you're always smiling, and that little peak on the top is like, I don't know, it's fun.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, I'm sure Herman was a powerful, popular show that changed the lives of millions.
Comic strip. Like in the
comic strip.
I never liked it actually, but nothing ever happened. And when I ever saw that, I just wanted things to blow up and and people to hit their head on brick walls, in comic strips.
I love it, man. I love it. So I want to get deeper into this topic of alignment. Let's go deeper, man. Let's go. And I want to do something that focuses on your past and talks about your journey and some challenges that you grew through that demonstrates how you learned alignment in business and personal and all aspects of life. Because that's really what we want to focus on today, being aligned in your business, in your personal, in your messaging, all of it. So tell us a little bit more about how you discovered alignment.
Alignment came after recognizing that I was amazing. When I realized at some point that I was by far the smartest person in the room of many people, I had an inner awakening. It's like, it's like, okay, time to step up and maybe take control. And, I have a saying that says, the work we do is to create the world we wish to live in. Mm-hmm. The work we choose to do is because that's the kind of world we want to create. And I got a sense of that. I always had a vision of the world I wanted to create. And when my work was recognized and I was recognized for being awesome, mm-hmm. That's the first liberation. And that's like, what do I do with that? And then that removes a big element of the nasty thing called fear. When you no longer care what other people think, or you no longer think that people think you're less than, right? As soon as you lose that sense of fear, you feel free to express yourself, to play with yourself. What happens if I start singing and dancing instead of speaking, right? What happens if I tell a story people aren't expecting? What happens? What if I go off topic in the sales pitch? What happens? What happens if I go right into someone's face and talk to them? What happens? What happens if I go into a client's conference room for our pitch and I rearrange all the furniture before they go in, and they come in and they're not familiar with where to set? I've made them upset. Who cares? It always works. So that sense of knowing that you're great and everyone's great and losing some of the fear allows me to feel free to express and play with who I know I really am. See, again, the way I have to be, should wear a tie and should only speak when spoken to and be polite and say this and say that and don't,
step into the box, into the mold.
Yeah. And when you realize that you don't want to be in there and you know that what you've got in there, the world needs, knowing you're great, releasing some of the fear, feeling free, GFFF, I don't know, whatever. But it's a wonderful experience where you feel free and you've got wings, and what do you want to do with them? And what that did for me is it increasingly liberated me. But with lifelong learning, I am a curious MFer, for sure. I am always absorbing new things, old things, and I retain them really well. In fact, really my gift is because every bit of existence can go into me and then out.
Right.
It's just constant like that. So that constant curiosity means that exponentially it increases. As soon as I felt my greatness, I released my fear and felt free, it just revved up and made the fire hotter, and everything just cooks faster and more tasty all the time. And, I'm grateful for whatever that is. It's a lot of the studying, the reading, and all the things I absorbed that kind of point to that. Other people may think, well, can't even imagine the first step yet. Well, that can be psychological, and work with Chris Burns, if you're feeling like that, Exactly.
We'll get it done.
But again, as we said at the beginning, this is a quest. There's no end to it. You have to constantly look at yourself and observe and open up. Yeah. Absolutely. You get tested and you get opportunities to find out, can you really be yourself in every possible situation? I was at a grocery store a couple hours ago, and because when I talked to this guy first thing in the morning, I sent him an email. I said, I'm going to tell you, every time I talk to you, I have such awesome days after we talk. Yeah. And I just noticed that I was more buoyant and more fearlessly smiling at strangers and conversing with some nuns that were ahead of me in the checkout lane. Those kind of things where it's great to be alive like that. Yeah. Yesterday it was really like that. Tomorrow may not be like that. I don't know. But right now it's just a really awesome.
Right. So you were confronted by fear in the past, and you attempted to just kind of fit in because that's what you were told to do, and it didn't work for you. You got resistance. You experienced hey, your soul's trying to break out and experience its greatness, and you're like, okay, there's got to be a better way than this. Would you say when in your career did this become a big priority for you to really stand in your own alignment and who you are?
During times of Great Depression. And depression came from the way I internalized something external. So in other words, if there was a relationship problem, a career problem, most people have a difficult time with rejection, right? Yeah. No one likes to be rejected. You can get used to it, you can get numb to it, but most people wouldn't say, oh, I love it. Rejection is something that happens if you attract it or you notice it quite frequently. And after rejection, the depression that can come from rejection, where you question your own worth or your own contextual worth, my worth to this person, to this business. If you get fired from a job, even if you hate the person, the feeling of being cut off from money, you feel rejected. You may have hated the position, but it's still a level of rejection. And if you're with someone and they're not the right person for you, but they don't want you, it's still a rejection, right? It happens all the time. But you have to know, when you feel that, where is your self-center? Where is your sourcing? Where is your essence? Can you find it again? Do you know where you put it? And when we've misplaced our joy, when we've misplaced our essence, well, those depressed periods can last a long time. So
it's you felt if you fell so far out of alignment into experience of depression, and it was from that so far out of baseline, so to speak, that you're like, whoa, how did I get here?
Yeah. See, what you just said there is it. Whoa, how did I get there? Implies I know the difference.
Yeah, awareness.
If you've been in the mountain, you know the valley. If you've been in the valley, you know the mountain. So in other words, if you've been in a state ever of loving yourself, and you've been in a state of knowing your greatness and feeling buoyant in your own self, and you get in depression, you can say, how did I get there? Because I can tell I want to be there, and now I'm there. But people who don't know that, they just get in the dumps, in a downward spiral. Some people have to hit rock bottom, which is a good foundation to build on, right? Mm-hmm. Don't worry if you say you hit rock bottom. It's a great foundation to build on. Yeah. In my case, I'll put it more literally. In my first marriage, when I didn't value myself, going in, I didn't value myself, which is how I attracted the person for 2.5 years. And there were two different times where I contemplated suicide. I thought, oh my God, this can't go on like this. All the possibilities of existence was so narrow. It's just like, I just want this to stop, this meaningless to stop, because I didn't see a way out. But each time, there was some kind of spark of desire, of life, that was still there. Everything else withered away. Everything else burned to ash. When everything else became vaporized and empty, all that was left was that tiny little
the seed of truth.
And that's why I'm still here, because it's like, no, damn it, I'm better than this. You know, and what is that, self-preservation? What is that, a higher power trying to say you were meant for more? I mean, make up whatever story you want, but that in those circumstances, like, I don't often feel like quitting or giving up. Although there are times when I go without sleep for a couple of days and there's frustration in business, I entertain and I play with ideas of just throwing a guitar over my back and just go hitchhiking down the highway and screw y'all, I'm good him.
Screw you guys and go home.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, I can play with that as a movie in my head and play with it without really getting too emotionally involved in it. I just go, yeah, okay, yeah, but no, this is so much cooler, right? Just hang in there and hang on, you know? So in those times of contrast, where it becomes, and what I mean by contrast, not only how far away you are from where you are, but contrast, like black and white, when things are quite clear. How many times you see in movies, someone is in a really depressed state and someone says, I think you're confused. And they say something like, no, finally, I can see clearly. I'm a piece of junk and I should die and nothing's going to work. I see it clearly, right? Well, clarity requires contrast, light, shadow, right? So even the worst depression can give you clarity, you know? And luckily, it's done that for me, and it's done for other people too. So yeah, it's a never-ending thing. But the more you practice, the quicker you bounce out of things, and you find learning in it too.
I'm curious for this. I want to share something with you about my experience, and then hear your thoughts on it. I have been so driven towards like the positive and light side of things, and being committed to that and not allowing negativity into my life, that it's almost been like I've been resistant to look at my shadow a lot of times. Like even today, I know, like logically, I know that I get to take on my shadow and embrace it and love it. And I still think that there's like fear. I think there's always deeper levels that we can go with that of embracing it. How would you recommend someone who's like super positive and always focused on growing and becoming their best self to take on the openness and willingness of contrast, of range, a great light and great darkness? How would you approach that?
Well, we're all human beings, but our emotional nuances can be quite different. Mm-hmm. Thank God. Thank you. Some people may not have access to that. Like I might or you might. So we're here talking. Some people may not have access to really go into that shadow side or critical eye or their own wet blanket, or some people may not have that ability. Then
why wouldn't they have the ability? It's an unwillingness to confront it?
Not everyone's minds are the same. Not everyone has the same worldview, the same life view, the same intellect, the same spirit. And I try to acknowledge that. they're coming at it from where they're coming at it.
Right.
So you have to find the connection. But then, there's all the variations between, right? Even in 180 degrees, where there'll be people who can intellectualize it, but they don't want to feel it. And there are those who have felt it and they're scared of it.
Yeah.
And there are people who feel it and have a deep resentment about it, and anyone who's willing to look at it. It's like being an adventure guide, where you're the expert, you've got all the tools on your back, you tell people how often you've done it, and you're there to make them feel safe and to catch them if they slip, right? And if necessary, put them on a belay rope, so if they actually fall off the mountain, you can haul them back up.
And that is being an adventure guide, so to speak, a facilitator. That depends on where we're at in our consciousness, in our awareness.
You got to be with people where they are. You have to start with someone else, right? So if someone is conversant about the issue of shadow and their lowest self, right? They can be conversant about that. You can tell. And if people can't engage with it, you can try to drag them, but sometimes you have to approach it from a completely different angle. In other words, if someone who is resistant to that, they're covering up, they're denying it, well, that's a little bit harder, stickier psychological personality work, obviously, right? And the people who are open and want to go and say, yeah, take me there, I trust you, that's a little easier, potentially, but you've got the work to do.
Right.
Knowing you're great, which gives you a sense of losing the fear, which gives you the freedom to be. Everything is a measured step, from where you are to where you want to be, how you're feeling, how you want to feel. And if you've got, someone like Chris, who's a fantastic coach, who can be there to hold you accountable to who you say you really are, but also can inspire and kind of really take up the energy and the fiery power of who you can be. That's what you do, you do that without trying. That's what I mean. It's so beautiful to see when you talk to people like that in your show.
Thank you.
It's awesome. Because this is what I mean. That's not your work. That's who you are. That's who you are. It just happens to be what your profession is, It's not, you're not wearing a mask, doing what you do. You have integrity. This is what you believe. This is what your life legacy to be, whether as a father in the future, as a friend, as a lover, as a husband, as a coach, it's very, very clear. What you see is what you get, and what you get is what you see, and what you see is powerful.
Yeah. I love it. I love it, man. So awesome. Thank you for the acknowledgement as well. I received that. I own it. And it's just so much fun to dance with our gifts, to show up with our gifts, just living those and sharing those with the world. So in terms of aligning ourselves in a business and having this alignment, living our purpose, show up in business, where do we focus for that? What's the foundation you'd recommend to really be successful with that?
Well, I had another call today, which was interesting, where it was like a Trojan horse call. This person was calling me to see if their company could sell their services to mine. And I didn't really think that was possible, because I didn't think their work was anywhere up to the standard I think it should be. For some reason, I talked to this guy. Turns out he's the same astrological sign, and we found some similarities, or I did. And I whipped on him my favorite question when I interview him, which is this: you should know it, Chris. Imagine all of you, think about this. Write this down or just remember it. It's simple, but take it seriously, please. Imagine whatever it is now, whatever time it is right now, from this moment, for sure that you have 2 weeks left to live. And those 2 weeks, you will be in perfect, robust health to the very last second. Possibly a 16-ton weight will drop from the sky and you'll be here and gone in a second, right? 2 weeks left to live. Now, I'll make it more interesting. You have all the money in the world. But you only have 2 weeks. Tick, 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 tick. Well, it's interesting. This guy, when he was talking about it, it was pretty common what I heard, but the way he talked about it, I found something in there that I thought it was really the heart of what he was doing. And I manifested a way for him, even in his job that he's doing, which is sales, to do this very easily in the city where he lives, play with it, and create that energy, what he really wants to do ultimately, right where he is now. And he just lit up, and I could see the sparkle in his eye. And he said, well, this is going to be interesting. I go to my next meeting in an hour, and people are going to think, what am I thinking about? I'm thinking about my own business I'm going to launch now based on this. So that question about thinking if you have a very definite limited amount of time, and let's be honest, there will come a day where you will have only 2 weeks left to live. We just don't know which one.
Yeah.
But thinking like that, okay, if my life is about over and I'm in a rush, a real hurry to sum up my legacy or who I am, hopefully you're going to speak right from your very heart in what you would do in this world. And that often can reveal to me, or hopefully to yourself, what you really want to do, who you really are.
Yeah.
With certain exceptions of place and maybe company, what I do all the time is what I want to do. I move, I think, I inspire, I play music, I read, I eat great food, I meditate. It's like, that's all I want to do. I want to do it in Amsterdam. I would do it with a couple more decimal places in the bank, someday, but that's it. There's integrity. I do who I am, and I am what I do and what I be. But that question, the 2 weeks left to live, that's a great way to kind of cut to the quick.
Yeah.
To the quick. Ooh, I really got to think about this, of who you really are and what you mean. And then suddenly, most people, the job, whatever they're doing now, even entrepreneurs have their own businesses. They'll say, oh yeah, but what I really wanted to do was, aha. Yeah, that shows why they're not succeeding in what they have, because it's not aligned with who they are perfectly, Wow. And then they don't believe they can do that. Well, why? Why do you believe that? On and on and on. Integrity is kind of bullshit until you put it in context. And if you have 2 weeks left to live, who are you? What did you really mean to this world? And to what people do you want to mean something becomes very, very finite and practical.
No.
So, I like that question a lot. I think about it a lot too.
Yeah, that's powerful. It's such a great, we're able to warp through time and space and scenarios and in this quantum field, so to speak. We can be present in any reality in our imagination, through our imagination, and experience that reality as if it's real. And to say, how would we show up? What would be important to us with only two?
Important to us. It is like for you, when you're talking with your business partner, or anyone's talking business, another good thing to do is when you're talking about a plan or an idea, forcefully take time and money out of the conversation.
Okay.
Time and money. Because everything comes down to, do you have enough money, or what is something going to cost, and how long does it take, and do I want it now? Take that out of it and we'll fill it with all your energy of what the idea or the plan could be, what you want, what you envision, get it so crystal clear and get it really ramped up and in your heart that this feels right to you. And only when you got it fully realized, all right, slowly introduce time and money to think, okay, how long might it take? How much money might I need? Because I find over and over again, when people get in discussions about what they want to do, time and money pollute the process.
Yeah.
At the key moment, like if you've ever been at a table with people when they're scribbling on a cocktail napkin, something spontaneous where it just has to come out and they say, give me some, I got to write this down, right? That's so beautiful. And there's no time or money in that. It's expressing a desire or one's, something so important to remember.
Right.
And that's where so much of the power is. Time and money are necessary, but they're not the idea. They're the map to the treasure, but they're not the treasure.
It's the fuel, it's the perceived fuel, so to speak, to make the dream a reality. But there's also the fuel of imagination. There's a fuel of ingenuity, creativity, relationships. There's so many things that can create it, that are the magic fairy dust to make it a reality that people don't acknowledge.
Imagination. You know that one from South Park?
No.
It was like the two. It was Imagination Land. It was the one where two-parter where in Imagination Land, terrorists have invaded our imagination land.
Oh yeah, don't they have to get like from heaven, like God and like that stuff and angels?
Kind of. Yeah, it's got everything. The imagination song, how they get there. And it's like I was saying, and they're arguing about no, it goes up one note there, no down. Oh, that's it.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's your integrity, being aligned in your life, your business, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it feels better that way because I've been in times in my life where I've been out of alignment and it doesn't feel good. And being in alignment to be yourself, truly yourself, and let other people see you as yourself is wonderful. Because how many people in the world do you need to love you? Everybody? Oh, that's what people say. So attract the ones who will like you for just who you are.
Yeah. And that comes from really like exploring and discovering what's important to us. If we had 2 weeks left to live, what would we do? It also, looking at the events in our life, the things that, most fulfilled us, most gave us passion, the things that most enraged us, and the injustices that went on, like what do we have strong feelings for? Either way, that's where the life is. The life is in those strong feelings.
So damn much is exactly what you're saying. I've never yet so far asked anyone where they say, oh, first thing I do, I'd go back and find that kid in third grade that really treated me like crap. And I'd tell them, no, I haven't heard that yet. I haven't heard, I'd go and blow up my my old boss's house. And no, I don't hear that at all. And even though I say take time and money out of something to develop an idea, answering this question, you take money out of it by giving someone all the money, but you actually leave the time in to give it some urgency. Otherwise, no one would answer my question. They're going to give some urgency while I answer it. But it's like, whoa, who are you? It's the basic human questions. Who are you? Who are you? Why are you here? There are those who know. There are those who you can tell are trying to find out. There are those who have never entertained the question. And I don't hang out with those people. I sure spend a hell of a lot less time with them, one or the other.
Yeah.
Life's too short.
Yeah, absolutely.
Life is too short.
I love it, man. So aligning our business with our purpose, we really get to figure out who we are, what are our values, and then operating out of that, we get to be responsible for bringing that into our workplace, our culture on a daily basis, like really crafting a vision or, a guiding compass, a guiding statement, purpose statement, mission statement, whatever we want to call it, that helps us know if we're on track or off track with living those principles.
Oh gosh, yeah, that opens another whole door. But maybe the heart of that aligning your business is every business should be there, to solve an important problem, an important problem to 14 people or to the whole world, whatever, with a solution that's unique and wonderful, right? That people understand will like. Well, if you don't know how to do that, and if you can't identify what problem you can potentially solve for how many people, you may have another gap somewhere about why are you really here, finding how to bring that to the marketplace, how to monetize it, whatever, But stay in that space. And that's what, again, someone like Chris Burns here can help you if you think you need a change in your life. You've been doing this, but that's not you. And figuring out how to take what you really like and bring that to the world. The guy I was talking to this morning, I told him to stay in touch with me about it because I want to see if he develops this. Because I think by developing it, he'll either say, got it out of my system, now I want to do something else for my life, or it revs it up even more and he's even more sure that's what he wants to do. Whatever you want to do, there's a way to play with it, and there's a way to kind of dip your little toe into it and feel it and then give it your all.
A lot of it starts with clarity, awareness of what it is first, being questioning what is it, experimenting, feeling into, exploring, discovering, curiosity.
Yeah, because if you're a hermit, you probably still want to do it, so you feel happy. But if you're a member of this human race, please do it. So whoever you are, you don't grow up to be a menace to society, a raging ball of insecurity that gains too much power. That's awful. So figuring out what you like and realizing that you can do anything you really want to do. The fact that you have a desire to do something proves the fact that you can do it directly or indirectly. Doing something doesn't always mean you physically do it, but you sponsor it getting done, or you can be the conduit for it happening, or you physically can do it. Yeah. But if it's perfectly aligned and it matches, this is me in business, same thing, or at least like that. Very minimum, that's not enough. It's got to be a good match, because it'll feel better to yourself, and people will notice that in you. The people you really want to work with, perceptive, sensitive, awake, aware people.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it, Paul. So we're beginning to wrap up now, and we want to hear the final pieces of wisdom and gold that you want our audience to receive, to own, and to implement right away.
The shoe.
Did you say the shoe?
Yes.
The shoe.
There, I just short-circuited your brain for a moment. That's a good thing. Figure out who you are, why you're here. Yeah. Find, uncover, recognize, and celebrate your greatness. Learn how to move past the fear, to dissolve and drop it over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And then feel the freedom to express your inner heart. Equally clear and equally powerful in everything you do in your life and your work. I think you'll be happy.
Yes, you will. Paul, people are loving this, and they want to know, how do they stay connected with you, and what do we want them to do next, brother?
They can place their tentacles of desire and attraction and curiosity around me on Facebook, because obviously I'm on Facebook. You can see that. And you can connect with me on Facebook and ask me questions, or you can go on Facebook and figure out from Facebook what I do for a living and find my company and go from there. Because I assume that anyone who's watching this who feels that way is bright, smart, intelligent, resourceful, and will figure it out if they want it bad enough. I trust people that way.
We are the captains of our own ships. The master was the captain of our fate, master of our soul, something like that.
Something like that.
Something like that. I love
it. Show.
I love it, Paul. Thank you so much for being here, man. The amazing conversation, discovering, exploring together, and just sharing what is the wisdom of the ages, and with a ton of love in the process. So, really appreciate you. And for everyone listening or watching, definitely stay connected with Paul. He's a freaking powerhouse and a rock star. He's in our mastermind. So totally, totally awesome dude you want to be connected with. So Paul, thanks so much, and we'll see you soon, okay?
Bless you, brother. And I love
you. Appreciate you, man. I'll see you soon.
See you. Bye.